Morning, Jeremy. I appreciate you
Good.
finding time to hang out with us today and share a little bit of your expertise. We're
Yeah.
excited to talk about growth potential and packaging quality. Now,
Yeah.
where in the world are you, Jeremy?
So I'm down here in Athens, Georgia. I'm hanging out down here, and weather is beautiful, and just trying to soak it in before it gets too hot.
Now, how's the pandemic been for you so far?
Well, as probably has made national news, Georgia is a pretty interesting place with a lot of polarizing things going on. But yeah, it's definitely been entertaining, interesting, and you can kind of navigate that. So it's been fun.
Awesome. Well, here's to improving conditions in the world and looking forward to all sharing beers together in person. But I imagine on your end, I mean, you focus on quality and packaging. You've probably been quite busy through all this.
Yeah, so my kind of my role has kind of changed in my career a little bit. So I work more with instrumentation and stuff now, and it's been really good trying to communicate in a different way and trying to reach people and help people find solutions to problems that they may or may not know that exist or are around. And the end goal is always to keep the customers happy and keep a strong industry.
Absolutely. And you work for Maselli. What exactly do you all do?
Yeah, so Maselli is a company that's based in Parma, Italy. They are a smaller sized instrumentation company. They mostly worked in refractometers and inline instrumentation, but they are launching a new series of instrumentation that is more geared towards expanding their influence in soft drink and juice, and then also launching in the beer market as well, to try to offer alternative solutions to kind of the larger companies out there that may or may not have customer service and the ability to treat the customer in the market well in the long run. So that's kind of their goal.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to learn more from you today. You
Yeah,
ready for me to throw those slides up?
yeah. Let's go for it.
Here you go, and I'll see you on the other side.
Sounds good. Feel free to jump in at any point in time, Andrew, if you have any questions, and obviously, if any of any of the commenters here have a question as well. I feel like Andrew, if you're thinking it, probably somebody else is thinking it, and let's try to go from there. Yeah, so like I said, I work for Maselli Process Analyzers, or Maselli Misure S.p.A. They're based in Italy. So kind of what I'm looking at today is packaging quality, just kind of my perspective on what that how I view it, how I view quality as a whole in these brewery settings, or even soft drink or plants or whatever you're making. It's kind of interesting to think about it in this way for me, and it's kind of helps be kind of my guide stones in maintaining a well-rounded program. But specifically today, we're kind of focusing, drilling in on one of those, which is packaging quality. Excuse me, packaging quality. So yeah, let's get into it here. So yeah, my name is Jeremy Lum. My title is Technical Sales and Service Specialist for Maselli. So my background is I was at a national distributing brewery in the Mid Atlantic for about 4.5 years. And then I moved to Georgia in the southeast for a regional brewery, and I was quality manager for about three years. So yeah, and basically in that instance, there was not really an existing quality program. So kind of being able to get in there and kind of build the quality program from the ground up was a super rewarding experience. And definitely uh, you know learned a lot in that process. Um, yeah, so my personal outlook on brewing quality is definitely quality at the source. You can make your job a lot easier by implementing things into the process as you go along, and being able, once you do it that way, it doesn't make it a task to do something. It's kind of implemented in the process, and also being able to empower the people that are doing the process to also be in control of their process. Um, in my perspective, kind of makes people more invested in what they're doing. So it gives people an opportunity to just be engaged, and people tend to, when they are given knowledge, tend to really appreciate that, and given the wings to succeed. But as far as brewery size goes, I mean, packaging quality, no matter what size your brewery is, whether you're the Budweisers of this world or you're a brew pub of the 5 barrel system, if you are putting product in a package, you're really looking at the same things. There's not, I mean, there's definitely differences in price and there's fancier tools, but the overall perspective is you're looking at the same stuff. So there's definitely different pricing solutions and different things that kind of go into it, but it all revolves around the same things. So yeah, kind of getting into that, we'll look at a little bit of fill height analysis, seam crown analysis, kind of talk about oxygen and TPO a little bit, and then if anybody has any questions, definitely open to answering them as we kind of go along here. So yeah. So I break up brewing quality into kind of 4 sections. Anything you're doing in brewing quality kind of falls into these four pots for me. So sensory is kind of a big one for me. I feel like it can inform issues potentially with the other three. Um, that if you're a smaller brewery, my kind of thought process is start investing in a strong sensory program, because if you have any potential microbiological analytical issues, especially, I mean, if you have a well-trained panel, they'll tell you they exist. Now, again, usually by that point in time it's too late, but at least you're setting those seeds to be able to grow later down the road as you invest more into potentially microbiological, analytical, and packaging techniques. So I think that's kind of a little bit of takeaway in how I view it. Now, they all are 4 legs of the same machine, but kind of you gotta, if you're looking to start somewhere, that's where I kind of think is a priority. But today we're focusing a little bit more on the packaging side of things. So just kind of go through that. So why even bother with packaging quality? So I found in a lot of places, and hopefully I'm wrong, but maybe an observation is that typically this is the part of the program that kind of falls off a little bit. People are all about taking gravities. They're all about checking IBUs and things like that. But all does any of that stuff really matter at the end of the day if you're not if you're putting it in a package that is not not doing your work any justice in the end, and really can be really inexpensive, and it can offer a lot of insight, and get a lot of payback after that. And also there's the preventative maintenance aspect of it. So this is a mechanical machine in a lot of these plants. So if you're able to get that information, it can inform you to do PMs, save money in the long run. And what's the sense in waiting for something to break, and then you're out a couple of days because you have to wait for a part or something like that, if you potentially could be more informed prior to something breaking. So yeah, and then obviously the end goal with all of this is let's make a product that the brewer intended. So like I was saying, you can do all the fancy things, you can do all the testing you want further upstream of the production stream. But if right at the end you're sending it out the door without without preserving that, it kind of defeats the purpose, and it's very, very frustrating. um, so yeah, obviously this is more catered to, like, if you're going into distro, but even if you're selling out of your tap room, you want to make sure you're delivering the highest quality product. Yeah, let's move forward here a little bit. So how are you determining these fill heights? I see a lot of people tend to, maybe at the startup every once in a while, they'll weigh the cans, and yeah, it's a good indicator to see if you're within a certain amount of range. Um, so if you know, you're really after the liquid weight, and there's different things that go into that. I mean, you want to know you're going to want to know some other information, uh, to be able to make a more informed decision. And then also the fill height is an important calculation moving forward if you're really kind of diving into your DO issues. So making sure you're doing this correctly and in an efficient way is rather important. Um, if you want to dive in deeper. That, I mean, that includes knowing your empty can weight, so you can subtract it you can subtract that from your total full can weight. Um, so that way you actually get a weight of just the liquid. And then you need to also need the density, ideally. Now, why would the density be important? So the density would be important because you're eventually going to divide that by your liquid weight, so that way you can kind of get a more accurate reading of how much liquid is actually in the product. But also, you can you can actually save. Uh, your yields can go up for sure, because I mean, the you think of a density of a thick stout versus a light crisp pilsner. They interact differently in spatial reasonings, in spatial. So you might be giving away you might be giving away an extra 2-3 cases. Obviously it depends on your filler height, but I'm saying if you're maybe in a wild goose forehead filler or something like that, you could be giving away, you could get a squeeze an extra 2 cases out of that if if you're actually dialed in on your fill heights. Now obviously I've also seen a lot of craft breweries to kind of get out of the dregs of dissolved oxygen. They'll just fill the can all the way up, which, hey, that's one way to do it. But maybe eventually you might be looking to kind of hone in and make the process a little bit more efficient. So yeah. Let's see. So, kind of going into seaming and crowning, there's obviously a bunch of different types of tools that we can use here. Now, it's all simple. It's all basic. Again, it's kind of coming back to, no matter what size brewery you are, you're looking at the same things. Like, so the little micrometer at the top right. If you're doing this, at least once a packaging shift, and you're entrusting your filler operator to monitor the process. And I know these, typically we're very slender on these endeavors. So that person's doing it, every time they do a packaging run, they start to internalize the numbers. So if they start to see, like, yeah, man, like maybe last week I was at this width, and then this week I'm at this width, and then I'm just kind of like not liking where the trend is going here. Something's going on. So that prevents you from having a leaker, in the market, or in your tap room, just by doing, maybe once a day, because you're looking, things wear down, your seamer wears down. So if you start to get wider and wider seams, or higher and higher seams, something's going wrong. So it's a preventative maintenance opportunity to get in there and be like, I kind of need to look at this a little bit. So being informed and kind of using that information to make informed decisions, um, to be able to, because if that seamer goes down, nobody's happy, because then your whole production line is stalled up. Um, so yeah, so kind of going through this a little bit. Essentially, the one on the top right there is the starter level. I mean, something like this you can probably get for like $80. So the important thing is trying to get somebody engaged, and involved in looking at these types of things, and realizing that it is important. So But yeah, so you guys are probably familiar with some of these already. That bar in the center right there, so that's for just checking diameters if you're crowning. So top of bottles. So no, usually if you're putting a crown on something, it's something that's a little bit higher price point. So you want to ensure that your baby in there is going to be delivered well to the customer in the end. So and the bottom left there, that's also kind of more geared towards crowns and bottles. So it's a secure seal tester. They use this in soft drink as well. It's good enough, for everybody and everybody's markets. So yeah, and then kind of get higher and higher in price point, to being bigger and bigger, but essentially showing here that you know it's all the same stuff. No matter what size brewery you are, you're kind of looking in the same areas, as Hassett would say, it would be your CCPs. So, but yeah, kind of go there. So oxygen and TPO. So is it really worth the investment? Again, this is tougher for smaller breweries because you're looking at spending some money, up front when you're starting a brewery. But to me, it's definitely worth the investment because it will pay itself off in no time. So again, if your intention is to deliver your product to the customer as the brewer intended, there's nothing more frustrating than chasing oxygen. Being informed and the ability to deliver what they want, then and also it allows the ability to get repeat customers because then they're not waffling on what their expectation is, and being like, well, it was this way last time and I enjoyed it, and I got it this time and I'm like, I'm not so sure about it this time. So what's the norm? And it's the bane of a lot of brewers' existence is chasing down this TPO and package oxygen. So the typically what brewers will focus on is just the liquid measurement. So liquid measurement is one component of this. I'm sure those of you that kind of have done a little bit more research into TPO realize that a lot of your problems typically come from the headspace that you leave in the can, and because it's about 2.5 to 3 times more likely to want to be in that headspace than it is in the liquid. So if you're just reading the liquid, you're not really getting a true picture of what's going on in there. Now, I know to get to equilibrium, you definitely want to shake the package. If you don't have the luxury of having a total package analyzer, um, like Hawk made a 6110 back in the day, and then down here in the bottom right, that's our TPO device, um, that actually measures the headspace and measures the liquid. There's certain things you have to do to kind of get more of an understanding of what's going on in there. And one way is to do shaken versus unshaken. I'm sure some of you guys know this method already. So my typical measurement is I shake it for 3 minutes, and then I'm assuming at that point it's an equilibrium. I'm at about 2.5. And there are calculations that you can look up that are readily available for this. Um, you can look at the shaken TPO, the shaken liquid, and then calculate what the TPO is in that instance. And now it's not entirely accurate, but it does give you a truer picture of what's going on. Um, Now, if you want to compare, like say you only are measuring liquid, only have the ability to measure the liquid, then you can take a shaken versus an unshaken and be like, well, my shaken can is 120, but then I don't shake it and I put it on there and I'm at 10. So, by subtraction there, I'm looking at it and I'm going, well, that means I have a lot of oxygen in my headspace. So then I'm looking at the purge valves, I'm looking at the filler valves to see if they're doing their work. So it kind of can direct you in the right direction and use as an analysis tool to be able to focus in. Now again, looking at this stuff, so there's obviously different price points and different size breweries, but we're still looking at the same stuff. So of course, the bottom left there is your typical at line Gehaltometer. So you're measuring liquid only. And also, you can also measure, if you're checking your CO2 purity and that sort of stuff. Obviously, if you're running your line with that, you want to make sure that that's good to go. That you're not, at the last moment putting stuff in there that's not designed to be there. Um, so yeah, and then you got inline there at the top right. So they're just placing it at those kind of critical control points that they've analyzed as wanting to do their analysis even further. Um, yeah, so that's kind of a quick little rundown of what I had going on there. Again, my name is Jeremy Lum, and but yeah, you can reach me at that email address if you have any questions after this, or if this goes up on YouTube and you want to reach out at any point in time. Feel free to reach out with any questions in any way I can help. Um, but yeah, I definitely appreciate Andrew and his team for having this group and putting it together, doing awesome things in the community and in the market. So it's a super essential for us, and we definitely appreciate you guys doing this.